This episode is brought to you by Jira. Jira is the only project management tool you need to plan and track work across any team. So if you're a team of developers, Jira better connects you with teams like marketing and design, so you have all the information you need in one place. Plus, their AI helps you knock out the small stuff so you can focus on delivering your best work. Get started on your next big idea today in Jira.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about Truth Social's sell-off and its regain, I guess. We're going to talk about lists inside of the X app, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And we're going to talk about some trends that are going to be coming up into 2025 for small business owners. Enjoy.
When you're calling to me from outside of a dream, I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You might remember me from such businesses as 3T Warrior Academy, Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, Phoenix Crypto Assets, not to be confused with Phoenix Fire, which we were not that company or like that company. Phoenix Crypto Assets was the name of our company. You might remember me from Q Financial, talking to you about Index Universal Life Insurance. The point is that I have lots of businesses, and this podcast is all about my trials and tribulations that I go through building my businesses. I also have Age of Radio, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. We're also working to get more guests on this podcast to make it an interview style a few times a month and eventually once a week as well. So I can just inundate you with all kinds of greatness or great information. That is what I'm trying to do, and I'm really, really excited about it. So before we go get started, there's a few things that I do want you to know about that we are working on. Head on over to ageofradio.com and check out our Discord. There's a link up in that Discord. There's also a link down here. We are building a community of our audience listeners, the people that love everything from true crime to gaming. So there's a place where they can meet, hang out, do stuff, learn about stuff. That is the additional thing that we've added to our Age of Radio community. We've also added in our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group, which has been around for a while. We're coming up on 700 followers in that group. If you have a podcast, jump in and share your podcast and engage with the individuals that are in that group. If you don't have a podcast and you want to be a part of a cool community, learn about podcasts, and talk about all of the things that you love about podcasting or that you love about listening to podcasting, then head on over to that Facebook group, Addicted to Podcasting. The other great thing that we started through Age of Radio is we started a new podcasting and geekdom news show called Mercury. It is only an Instagram live show, meaning that it goes live on most Fridays at or around 6:30 Eastern with myself, and I go over podcast news. I have a guest on it like Creator Trey, Joey from the Geek Collective, and it is alive. You can watch it, you can comment on it, you could be a part of it. Heck, if you want to share something, we'll even bring you up on into the show. Now that gets recorded, obviously, and then we put the on-demand content on our X account at Age of Radio and on our YouTube at Age of Radioverse. And we also throw it into LinkedIn. As I talked about in a few episodes back, you can create the articles and embed content. So we're embedding that content in our Age of Radio LinkedIn. So if you want to be a part of all of the cool stuff that we do at Age of Radio, where we help individuals grow their podcasts for absolutely free, please reach out to us at ageofradio.com or at support@ageofradio.com. The other thing that I'd like to kind of push you to, if you're interested in it, is our 3T Warrior Academy. Again, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have lots of businesses, and this is everything that I have going on. And also the, I guess, wisdom that I've learned along the way from failing, doing certain things inside of businesses that I'm not happy with, changing those things, redoing those things, and so forth. But at 3-2 Warrior Academy, we have helped over 5,000 warriors worldwide with our 120-day challenge. We have helped them with their investing as it relates to understanding cryptocurrency, how to create generational wealth. I have a business forum in there where I help people with their business questions and things of that nature as it relates to taxes, setting up the organization, how to do marketing. You can ask me anything. And we also have an entrepreneur book club where we focus on the books that we believe are going to be the most important ones for small business leaders to read as they move forward. And we're going to talk about some books today as it relates to some of the topics, but we will get into that later. So if you're interested in 3-2 Academy and you want to learn more about it, I don't talk a lot about it on my social media, but you should follow me at Age of Jeremy everywhere. You should join my Instagram broadcast channel, Dope Updates. That's the name of it right now. We'll be talking about that more later on when we do kind of a new short segment that we're going to try to be adding into this, but we'll see how it goes. So check out 32waracademy.com or go to Coach JV_. He talks about the 32 War Academy every day. He is essentially the face of the organization, but we do have tons of other people that are part of it. We have our whole crypto team. We have myself. We have a customer support team. We have our media team. So there's all kinds of stuff that goes into making 3-2 Warrior Academy happen. So check it out at 32warrioracademy.com or head on over to Coach JV_ wherever you get your social media and join the movement that Coach JV and I started back in 2017 that didn't take off until 2020. Until he got super really big on TikTok. But his hard work paid off and he deserves it. So starting into this episode today, I do want to talk about my favorite individual in the world, Donald J. Trump. Actually, if you listen to me, you know that I not despise Donald J. Trump, and I despised him even before he was running for president. I feel like he's been a part of my life for my whole life, and which is, I guess, from his perspective, really good marketing and really good branding. So I'm not going to go against that. I think he's done a great job with that, but I've never been a fan of Trump. I had a lot of friends in when I was going to business school, which is traditionally business school is usually it's a mixture of conservatism, at least from the perspective from from monetary policy, and then also from big business, right, and investing in free markets. That's kind of what people talk a lot about indoctrination in the schooling system. If you go to business school, you are super indoctrinated in Austrian economics or free market economics. They don't really even teach you about other forms of economics, not to mention the fact that Keynesian economics is really the thing that drove us from and helped us get out of, I believe, the Great Depression, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think that we have I think we could do a better job of that. But again, I don't think there's anything necessarily 100% wrong with Austrian economics. I think that we should learn about other economics, but we're not going to go into that. You should all know kind of my stance on that and what I believe as it relates to that. But I just wanted to mention that shares of Trump Media, they did close up 5.58% on Friday. However, as I mentioned in one of the news articles previously, that they were going to open it up where the co-founders can sell some of their stake. And so Trump Media co-founders ended up moving quickly to cash in their stake. The former contestant on Donald Trump's TV show, The Apprentice, who co-founded his media startup, wasted no time offloading millions of shares in the company after restrictions that prevented selling were lifted. So as I mentioned before, there were restrictions on these types of being able to sell the shares, which is normal, not necessarily not normal in these types of ventures. But Andy Litinsky and Wes Moss, United Atlantic Ventures, sold more than $7.5 million worth of Trump Media and Technology Group core shares within a week after a lockup agreement expired. According to a regulatory filing, which expired last week, and then the week later they, sold their shares. According to a regulatory filing on Thursday. Now, the stake would have been worth at least $88 million based on the lowest price, where shares have traded during regular hours since the restrictions were lifted. The sales likely made a nice payout for their. Actually, was that 7.5 million shares? Yeah, they sold 7.5 million shares, which was around $88 million. The sales likely made a nice payout for the pair who helped co-found Trump Media, which owns the X lookalike social media platform Truth Social, even though the restrictions preventing them from cashing in the stock for nearly 6 months theoretically cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. The former president and current Republican nominee, Donald J. Trump, has insisted he has no plans on selling shares and has apparently kept that pledge through the writing of this article. His current stake of nearly 115 million shares is worth $1.6 billion, though the rules around him turning the position into cash limit how quickly any sale could happen. Investors anticipated that Linsky and Moss would offload stock and are also braced for a flurry of sales from Patrick Orlando, whose fund Arc Global Investments 2 LLC sponsored the special purpose acquisition company that merged with Trump Media to take it public. Now, I don't think, now to go into my own opinion, and again, this is from Bloomberg. I recommend that you get a Bloomberg subscription. I mention that all the time. And if you can get other Bloomberg products I mentioned, I think that you should. One of the products that we're looking to get to add to our suite of products that we offer individuals as it relates to taxes is Bloomberg Tax and Bloomberg Legal. But again, you probably don't need those types of things. It just depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But they do have other products besides just their regular subscription to Bloomberg, but I recommend that you get it. As of right now, Trump Media and Technology is up 5.51% to $14.75. This article is from Bailey and Lipschultz. Always want to give credit where credit is due. And this came out on September 26th. Now, that being said, shares of Trump Media, like I said, $14.76 per share. This is after they dumped their shares. And this is saying it's 11 million shares. The other article said 7.5. So I guess it's somewhere between 7.5 and 11 million shares. And so I think it's worth noting. I will say this. I think that Donald Trump, while he is not as a human being, I'm not a fan of him or anything that he stands for the most part, is that I think True Social is actually a pretty cool looking like app. I don't actually use the app, but I'm talking about like the traditional branding of it. And I think that that's a really, if you have for lack of a better way to say this, a cult following, no matter who you are, you should have an app. So I think that's cool. If you have the ability to make an app, I say make an app and bring the people in that follow you closely to have better access to you. Now, I think that he started using X more, that he got put back on X. But I think personally, from a conservative standpoint, I think that the Republican Party and the conservatives should lean into Trump Social for the content that they're pushing out, similar to Rumble. Like, I think that those two should be, like, if I were a conservative and I was, pro-Trump or pro GOP policy, I would 100% make my focus on Trump Social and on Rumble over any other platform, and probably X, because X, for the most part, I mean, X, I see a lot of right-leaning stuff on X because of the fact that a lot of the people that I am, knowledgeable of in the crypto space, they tend to be more Trump supporters and more right-leaning in that space. And so I do see a lot of that on my feed. But if you don't engage in that type of stuff on your X feed, you probably don't see a bunch of right-wing type of stuff on there. And so I guess the point is I would also still use X. And I don't think it's as negative as people make it out to be. I think it's just how your algorithm is picking up the information that you're looking at. But I know that some people and some journalists have said that X has gone more right-leaning, but I don't personally buy that yet until I try to fix my algorithm, and if I just see right-leaning stuff. So the point is if you're right-leaning, I would 100% go over to True Social. And again, I don't know if they have like a plan to do anything great with it. It seems to me that a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump puts out is just put out for the fact that he wants to just make money and to sell his brand, I guess, without really anything that says, I want to make this really, really amazing app. He's just needed to make an app because his ass got kicked off of everywhere else. But anyway, so not to pick on Donald J. Trump, obviously I'm not going to be voting for him and I don't support him, and I hope that you don't vote for him. I don't think that either of them are going to, I don't think him or Kamala or either the right or the left give two shits about the country, but I would say the lesser of two evils, in my opinion, is probably Kamala, but I'm probably going to vote for a third party. All right. So again, and I'm not going to endorse anybody on here, but I will tell you who I'm not voting for, and that person is not Donald Trump. We'll be right back.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
I'm super excited because this week I get to see creator Trey If you don't know Creator Trey, go follow him on all social media. He was a member of our 3-2 Warrior Academy for a very long time. He's a very intelligent individual, I would say. He has created some really cool ideas around, I believe it was an NFT project. He has his podcast, the Creator Trey podcast. He has taught himself how to do JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. I've seen some of the stuff that he's made or scripted. I think he does a fantastic job. And I recently asked him to help me with Age of Radio, and he's now the community manager for Age of Radio. But I live in Glendale. I'm not going to tell you where he lives, but he is able to come to Arizona for an event for his family, and I'm going to get to see him on Wednesday. We're going to go out to eat for breakfast before they head back to where he's from. Again, he's not from Arizona, but I'm from Glendale. I'm from Arizona. I'm born in Phoenix, but my whole family is, in Glendale, or was in Glendale, and then in Maryville. A long story. We're not going to go into that. But the point is, I'm really excited because I get to see Creator Trey. And Creator Trey taught me, he does these really cool, like, educational videos inside of our Discord to help people not only learn about Discord, but to learn about other social media things. He knows that that's one important to me, that we're getting like tips and tricks out to everybody about social media, because I am essentially, I guess, a social media whore, I guess you could say. Maybe not. I don't think I'm as bad as some people. What I mean is that I enjoy social media once I change my outlook and opinion on it, rather than focusing on doing it to get followers and get kind of fame, which is, obviously it'd be great to have millions of followers, and eventually we will get there because I will outlast everybody. I think the people that are the most successful, the people that outlast everybody, and I have really no intention of not doing anything, because I think it's fun to share your life, to talk to other people. But like, the more that I learned to engage with other people, and the more that I started to build friendships with people via social media, the more beneficial it came. Now, sometimes I do get caught up in scrolling and getting stuck in like TikTok, or get stuck in researching, like going down different rabbit holes inside of social media. But for the most part, my goal is, I think everybody can use social media, and they can use it for really good and for building real friendships if they remove their mindset around thinking that they have to do it just to build business. And if they go into it, like I originally went into it, just to get followers and to try to build my businesses without trying to add real value or real context or entertainment to the world, then I think that you're going to fail, or you won't be able to outlast everybody in totality, if that makes sense. So Trey talked about lists inside of X. And so one of the strategies that I recommend that you use to get more information out on X, and I'm going to say to grow on X, but to be a part, there's a few things that I think work really, really well. One of those things is really sharing the information that you're finding with your audience. And one of the ways to do that is to set notifications for all the posts that you want to receive. So for instance, if you follow me on X at Age of Jeremy Q, you're going to see that there's a lot of posts about Bloomberg. There's a lot of posts, hopefully, about Gala Games. These are the things that I want to push out to the community, of my community of followers, and engage with those types of content, so people can have an idea of the things that they can expect when they come over to my feed, because my feed is very similar to the concept of what Gary Vee says, is it's me. Like, you're following me, you're not following a niche. The niche is me. And if you want to be a part of those things, then you follow me on social media, and over time you'll find the value in it. The social media algorithms will find value in it, and I'll be larger than a lot of the people that are out there, or I won't be. And hopefully I have a lot of engagement and I meet a lot of friends along the way. And so that's the benefit to me. And so the point is that if you have those posts, you can get those posts, you can get those notifications, you can go and comment on them, you can repost them, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. One of the things that Trey says that works really, really well, is he started talking about these lists. So if you go into your X and you go to your profile, you should see profile, premium, bookmarks, jobs, lists, and monetization. If you go into lists, it will have lists for you to discover, for you to kind of jump into. So automatically, when I went in there was a few lists that I had been added to. AZ House Democrats was one of them, or I added myself to it. AZ Dems, and AZ Politics. So those are the ones that, for me, with my trajectory of where I want to go for politics and into leadership positions in the state, into government, I put those in there. And the reason being is because I can go into those lists now, right? And I can just engage with those feeds. So the purpose of the list, you add members to it, and then all of those members' content start to show up in the feed. So if you want to go and engage with those people or that community almost, you can just go in there and you can see feeds from all of the members that are in there. So if I go into AZ Dims, I have the Honorable Lorenzo Sierra, I see something from Blake Flayton, I see something from Connect to Arizona, and I can go and then re-engage with those, repost those, and reshare those. And that's a great way to get information and to utilize X for what Twitter was trying to accomplish, of it being a town hall for everybody and a place to get news, which I think it's still going to continue to be that way. I think it's just going to get better under Elon Musk. Now, from the ability of what the app does, I think is going to get better from Elon Musk. I just don't think he understands the ad revenue model or the model, so they're going to need to change the revenue model to make it very worthwhile for all of for Elon Musk, I guess, and for the people that he either borrowed money from or invested with when they purchased X. So for me, I created a gaming list in here, so you go in, you add list, you can create an image for the top, you can add members to it. The one thing that I don't know is if you add someone as a member, if they go to it, if they can see it, especially since I set this one to private. And then I also pinned it. I don't know where the pinning goes, so I'm gonna have to research that a little bit more, but because it's not up. Oh, okay. So when you pin it, when you go to your main home screen at the top, you'll see For You, Following, and then the communities you're a part of, and then the lists that you're a part of. And so I can just jump over to that gaming list, right? And as Indie Gamer puts stuff out, or as Indie Game Reviewer puts stuff out, I can see all of the things that they're pushing out, and I can go, and now I have this whole feed around the people that are the list inside of it. And I think this is fantastic, and it allows us to get more information, and then we could share that information, and we can grow whatever that list or that community is around. It's similar to kind of like, I guess, how the communities work to some extent. But I think that if like you wanted to create lists around specific topics that aren't like a community, you can just do that, and then you can add the people in there so that you can start pushing that stuff out. So I think that that's something that you should definitely do. The other thing that's great about it, besides you just pushing stuff out, like I can go in there and I can comment on all this stuff, I can engage. And again, the number one thing that we need to change our mindset around social media is the way in which we engage within the social media. Go about sharing your stuff that you want to share, whether it's a niche, or it's just you sharing whatever you want, and then go and learn how to engage, have conversations with people, and react to those things. And that's how you can not only increase your social your like social relationships, it's also a way for you to gain other knowledge from other people. And I think that that's something that we need to focus on. We'll be right back. One of the cool things that I think radio does very well is to have call-in, I guess listeners call in and get their questions answered. That's something that I grew up with. My mother listened to a lot of talk radio, and you would call in and you would get your question answered. And I think that that's one of the things that makes a Dave Ramsey show so great, is people can call in, get their questions answered, get the advice. And I want to kind of add that. The point though is that obviously this isn't live. Now I could set this up where you could call into a phone number and we could have a conversation live, which we're working towards that, or I'm working towards that as part of a show. And what I'm trying to find where my passion is as it relates to the content that I'm creating from podcast or live broadcasting. And so to kind of start that though, if you go to my profile in Instagram at Age of Jeremy, you'll see a broadcast channel. It says Dope Updates. Click on that, join my broadcast channel. It's free. And again, I'm doing this so you can go in there, but I'm also doing it so the people that are in there get another benefit besides, the other stuff that I'm putting in there. And that benefit is you can ask me questions in there for the podcast when I do this segment, and I will get your questions answered. So, and you can also Snapchat me. I will probably not focus on those ones for the show. I'll probably focus on just answering those in the moment, because I think Snapchatting back and forth with people through Snap would be really fun to do to get questions answered. And so I haven't got a lot of those, but it's at Age of Jeremy and Snapchat if you're interested in doing that. And so you can ask me anything as it relates to finance. You can ask me around debt. You can ask me about personal finance. You can ask me about business finance, lending, debt restructuring, taxes, small business. If you don't know, my background's in finance, accounting. I worked in banking for 11 years, in commercial banking for the last 4 years of that, I guess you would say. And then as a branch manager that focused on a branch that had high investment amounts, I guess, without going too deep into it, would be the easiest way to explain it. And then I've been running this business, multiple businesses as a CFO, CEO, COO for the last 9 years. 7 years, 7 years since 2017, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 7 years, also while doing the banking gig or job. I call it a gig. It's not really a career. I guess it could be a career. I guess I shouldn't say that. So I don't have any questions for today's episode, but I encourage you, go to that broadcast channel. I'll be posting in there once a week to get questions for this segment. And I'm going to keep doing it until I start getting some. And that's cool. And I'm going to keep advertising it. And I think eventually we can get some good questions in here, and I'll do my best to answer them and to get information to be able to answer them if I don't know the answer. But you can ask me the same kinds of questions that you would do if you called into Dave Ramsey. I think that would be really cool. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, answering these things. And so before we leave from this, one of these, the gentlemen that I met at a conference for our Archetypes publication for our Geek Collective company, which is a publishing house for comic books and graphic novels and to help creators do Kickstarters. So Fink Inc. So it's Fink and then Inc, I-N-K, and then underscore Inc. So Fink underscore Inc, I-N-K underscore I-N-C. I forgot the gentleman's name. He's a great guy. I met him and his beautiful wife, and they were very fun to talk to. And I hope to have them on the podcast to talk about all the cool content creation that they're doing. But this was in regards to me talking about Gemini on Gemini going into the messaging system inside of your phone. So I use Google Messages as my main SMS. And now I have Google as an AI help co-pilot inside of there. And so it's really cool that he commented on this, but it's even cooler because he taught me something that I didn't know. And there's this other chat bot called Claude, and it's CLAUDE. And I was looking at it a little bit last night. So I'm going to talk to you guys about it here so you can go and learn about it too for fun, because that's the whole point of being on podcasts, is learn about new stuff. But Claude, meet Claude. Claude is a next generation AI assistant built for work and trained to be safe, accurate, and secure. Create with Claude, draft and iterate on websites, graphic documents, and code alongside your chat with what they call artifacts. And there's different plans. There's free, talk to Claude on the web, iOS and Android, ask about images and docs, access to Claude. I don't know much more about it than what I'm reading on the website here. So if we look at the company, their purpose, we believe AI will have a vast impact on the world. Anthropic is dedicated to building systems, this must be the company, that people can rely on in generating research about the opportunities and risks of artificial intelligence. We build safer systems. Safety is a science. It's interdisciplinary. AI companies are one piece of a bigger puzzle. And so I would just check out Claude. Anthropic.com, it looks like maybe is the company that's behind it. And so what is Claude and how does it work? So Claude is an artificial intelligence trained by Anthropic using constitutional AI to be safe, accurate, and secure, the trusted assistant for you to do your best work. You can use Claude for your own personal use or create a team account or collaborate with your teammates. What should I use Claude for? If you can dream it, Claude can help you do it. Claude can process large amounts of information, brainstorm ideas, generate text and code, help you understand subjects, code you through difficult situations, simplify your busy work so you can focus on what matters most, and much more. So I have just heard about this. And again, it's from Fink Inc. And he said in the comment, Claude has been pretty useful and it's less biased than Gemini or ChatGPT. I don't know enough about the biasy piece of it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about AI here in a moment in the main segment, but go follow Fink _Inc. Check them out and their work. He does some amazing comics. So I encourage you to check that out. And again, go over, join the broadcast channel, ask me questions, get your questions answered on here. Again, anything business, finance, Also, I went to, if you don't know by now, I went to school for business. I have a bachelor's of science from ASU, Arizona State University. Go Sun Devils! At in accountancy and one in finance. And then I have from Northeastern University in Boston, I have my MBA from, and eventually I will go and get more education. And you might be thinking to yourself, sometimes when I say that, I'm like, fuck, I'm 41. But really, it's just a number who gives crap. Keep learning, keep innovating, keep doing cool shit. And we'll be right back. Some of the biggest things that I've been focusing on for our businesses is not only getting way more freaking organized. One of the best decisions that I made was to bring on an executive assistant. It's only for 5 or 6 hours a week. It's not even that. And I called her an executive assistant because I'm an executive. I don't want to say she's a virtual agent, but but my assistant, Jalissa, does a fantastic job, and having her to help organize and offload certain tasks to has been very beneficial. And so I'm working on increasing that and making that a main specific thing. But there's lots of tasks that don't get organized for lots of different reasons. And then I'm just sharing these things with you because these are the things that I'm kind of dealing with. And I'm going to give you a little bit of like a few little pointers on it, but then I want to talk mainly about some of the big things that I think are coming for 2025. I know it's only October, but I went to the store today to get a ceiling fan, and I saw Christmas stuff out, and it's not even October 1st. So that was weird. I would expect there to be Halloween stuff out. There was, but they also had Christmas stuff out, which I thought was, like I said, weird. And so I think that one of the things that makes it difficult for business owners, especially when you have multiple businesses, is making sure that a lot of the processes are the same. So one of the biggest mistakes that I made is that I allowed tasking systems to not be all in one place. And so while Age of Radio still uses Teams and uses Planner and To Do, is that it's for just the Age of Radio stuff. Then there's the Teams and Planner and stuff for the 3T Warrior Academy stuff. And then Merlin made the decision to use Asana. And so I've been really focused on working on how to integrate all of that into one place, either through Zaps or Zapier, or through Power Automate, so that one goes into one system. It all ends up in the same system. And when you close it out in one system, it closes it out in the other system, just to keep things organized and be able to navigate and manage, the percentage of tasks that are getting done, and to keep really strong analytics. And so that's been one of the biggest things that I've been focusing on these last couple of months, because what I saw was that when I kind of gave it that focus and really focused on doing these tasks, I was able to get them organized and get them off my plate a lot better. The problem that also arose with that is then sometimes we get too task oriented on certain things that aren't revenue generating items. So being able to bring in and working on hiring more salespeople for HF Radio for advertising inventory, which is one of the biggest things that I'm going to be working on here soon. And so we already have a head of, advertising sales, brother Safir. But then, again, he'll, getting more people underneath him is going to be beneficial, but then also just getting more people involved with this process altogether so that we can go after and sell more, because what ends up happening is my 10 hours a week that I try to sell for Age of Radio and for insurance and so forth gets pushed aside, and it can't keep getting pushed aside for these other tasks. Other people need to do some of these tasks so that I can keep moving those things forward. And so again, the two things that I'm working on right now for the businesses is making sure that I have all of those tasks that are being done across all of our businesses, right? And I just mentioned 3 of them. There's like 3 or 4 other ones, and then inside of them there's different projects that are going on that need tasks to be completed. And so making sure that all those tasks are going into one place so that you can work on them, and having time set aside to just work on those types of tasks, and then having blocked hours for doing the sales piece of it. And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now, and trying to get done, that is going to really help lead me going into 2025 to be much more efficient and grow revenue in different areas of our businesses that I've been lacking on seeing that revenue growth, because of the fact that I get reacted. I'm not very reactive. I would say that I'm probably the more proactive person that I know. Um, what ends up happening is a lot of other people are reactive, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Stuff happens. But then what ends up happening is that I need to be called in to help and do some of these other things. And I'm trying to minimize that and empower the people that we have to learn about these new things so that then they can go and do them. And then I don't have to be pulled into them. And that's one of the biggest things that I think entrepreneurs that I see need to do. And again, the reason why I know that they need to do, I see that they need to do that is because I've constantly dealt with that and then been working on making that better and better over time, which is something that goes up and down because of being pulled in many directions. And that's the biggest thing that I'm working on. What I also think is really important that we end up doing, and the why I'm bringing this up is educating ourselves on some of the biggest things that are important in businesses, right? And so, one of the things that I get accused of a lot of is thinking of everything from a corporate standpoint. I think people judge me on that a lot, but I don't go into business. I've never started a business to make money. Every business that I started was either to help people or to create something in the world that wasn't there before. And that's why I'm super passionate about, things like Merlin, things like Age of Radio, and what our services that we offer for Age of Radio is because still to this day, the service that Age of Radio offers doesn't really exist. And the problem is just getting that service out in front of more people. And there would be no reason why in my mind, there's no reason why anybody wouldn't want to have their podcast be a part of Age of Radio. The problems that arise for Age of Radio is we don't own our own software. I don't have the capital to get the software built, which is another big thing that I'm focused on changing my outlook on getting certain things done. So that we can get these things out into the marketplace and really start competing, because of the fact that the key that we have that other people don't have is really the sense of how to really truly build a community. And we've been doing it for a long time, and we're going to be doing it better than anybody else. And again, because my goal isn't to make fucking money, my goal is to make something amazing. But with that, to stay up to date with the things that we can learn about to make amazing, we have to know what's kind of coming up into the world and see how those things kind of relate to us. And so I think that the biggest things that are going to be happening in 2025 as it relates to business that you can start prepping yourself for now, something that I've talked about a lot, I even talked about it on a post that I did yesterday, is embracing, well, actually the post that I did yesterday was about community. It was a post a while ago about AI. I guess it was the Gemini one that I'm talking about. And so the number one thing that's going to be happening and continuing to happening is the ability to embrace technology and artificial intelligence. Every single company that exists right now, whatever you're doing, you are a tech company in some capacity. And if you're not, or if you don't think that you are, take a look at your business, see what tech you use, and then think about how you could make tech that works better than the tech that you're using to solve the problems that you're facing with your business. That's one of the most important things that we can be doing as entrepreneurs. And we have to educate ourselves, and we have to use the artificial intelligence. And so a lot of people don't really understand why they should be using artificial intelligence from a business perspective. A lot of people are afraid of it. I can completely understand the artificial intelligence or the generative AI that makes images and how that can take away from art and so forth. I get all of that. From a graphic designer standpoint, though, I'm going to use Josh as an example. Josh does his graphic design, but then he utilizes AI where he needs to make something get changed faster. So it's kind of like an assistant for him. Now, from it creating the whole thing, I agree with that. I think we're creative beings. I think that we should use digital products and we should use AI as like a co-pilot or as an assistant. But again, I can see why people are kind of against it because of it being able to take over what they're actually specifically doing. And everybody has their self-interest in heart because it's themselves, if that makes sense. And so when I think about why we should be using artificial intelligence, the main reasons why we should be using artificial intelligence are for things like customer service. So AI is probably best known for the customer service abilities, the ability to use chatbots for businesses can communicate just automatically with people, the ability to utilize multiple languages. It allows customers with simple requests or FAQs to deal with things quickly and efficiently. And I think there's things that you should be doing. If you have a business and you have customer service, there are some things that should be automated that you should be utilizing. And that's the number one place where you can start with utilizing artificial intelligence. I think that having things quickly get answered from bots or from whatever you want to call your AI bot is one of the best things that can really help solve things when a person needs them to be solved if you're not able to be there to solve it. The other thing that AI does really good is it can really be used for sales forecasting. So the technology can analyze data. It can enable you to understand consumer behavior. It can help you understand, predict, and avoid problems to increase sales and grow your business. And so those are more of the artificial intelligence things that we need to be utilizing in the software that you currently have as a small business. So one of the things that I've sucked at for many, many years is making budgets, like a budget that I actually give out to departments in the E2 Warrior Academy, because I don't have a budget analyst. And if I'm running other areas, I can't focus on creating that budget. So I have like an idea of a budget based off of QuickBooks. But QuickBooks has AI software that I want to start integrating and utilizing to be able to come up with doing some of that stuff for me quicker, that then I can maybe have an assistant or someone go through, make sure that it's clean, and then send out. And those are the things where it really helps with us becoming more efficient. And I'm going to talk mainly about AI and why we should be utilizing it, but then I'm going to go through and talk a little bit more about some of the other things that are coming up into 2025. The other thing is security. So so as you get bigger and you get larger, we're always got to be keeping security in mind. So you have to protect company and customer data. And AI uses machine learning technology to quickly analyze threats, such as malicious files and suspicious IP addresses, to reduce risk. Security breaches can be a huge deal within a company for any size of company, and they can hurt any size of company. So you need to make sure that you have all of your securities in place, not only from you and your consumer, but from the companies that you're utilizing down to you. That's how important it is to have security, and AI helps us do that much more quickly. And then marketing. AI is greatly used for marketing purposes, help us understand consumer patterns, analyze competitors, and produce content that we can push out to people. That doesn't mean that all content should be created through artificial intelligence and a human shouldn't go back through and see it. But AI can help us quickly create basic content or ideas of content a lot faster that then we can go and put our human touch on and get out there. The other thing that artificial intelligence allows us to utilize, we've started utilizing this in some of our businesses through a company called Omni Boulevard. Omni Boulevard has a CRM system that allows us that has the ability, we haven't started this part yet. We started using their main automations, but they also have artificial intelligence that you can integrate in when people are asking specific questions on social media. It can take some of those things and then find out what they're really trying to ask, and then grab articles or information that we can then push out. And it doesn't have to have like the keywords and phrases originally in that, from my understanding, that it can just be basic language and then the artificial intelligence can decipher it. I think one of the things that we don't hear a lot about, but we need to start utilizing and understanding how artificial intelligence can help with this, is utilizing it for repetitive tasks. So using AI to carry out tedious and repetitive tasks can free up valuable time and energy, kind of like with what I was saying with the balance sheet or the budgeting piece of it, to allow employees to focus on other jobs that may require more attention. So AI technology can effectively read and categorize data using automated systems and eliminates human error. So if we put it in an Excel sheet inside of ChatGPT and I tell it to analyze that data for this, and this, it can analyze that data. And so I would also say that that is a really good place for you to start on your journey of utilizing artificial intelligence so that you have the ability to analyze data and you don't have to go and find someone to do it, or you can have a main person that understands how to read that information and they can utilize the artificial intelligence to create the to analyze that information and give you the points back. That is one of the things that I've seen Antonio use greatly in our Blockheads business, which is a company that created Merlin. When I ask him to go and find this information for me, he takes the Excel spreadsheet, he pops it into ChatGPT, tells it how to analyze it, what to analyze it for, and he gives me the information back. And that's one of the things that we need to start utilizing much more from artificial intelligence and not be afraid of it. And one of the things that can help us not be so afraid of artificial intelligence is by spending time reading about it, understanding it. There is a great series by Bill Gates on Netflix. I'm personally a Bill Gates fan. Also, I own a bunch of Microsoft stock, so go buy Microsoft stock and buy Microsoft products and use Microsoft products. But at one of the segments, and I haven't watched it, I watched another segment of him and Bernie Sanders and Mitt Romney on, billionaires being, abolished, and I'm not going to get into that. But I side somewhere in between Bill Gates and Bernie Sanders, more than Bill Gates, but less than Bernie Sanders on it. But the point is, they have another episode on there called Artificial Intelligence, and he talks about artificial intelligence. I haven't watched that, but I'm telling you about it so you can go and watch it. There are some, but so the point is that the more you know about something, the less fearful you are of it. Or the more that you're able to be properly fearful of it as you learn about it and how to not be as afraid of it, or be fearful but still use it, I guess would be a good way to think about it. And so there are some books that I found here that might be beneficial to learn. And these are some of the ones that I want to figure out or go and buy and read. So the first one is Artificial Intelligence for Dummies, is one that I think that we should all take into account. Machine Learning for Absolute Beginners. And I'm going to throw a link to this article where I found these in the episode description. There's one called Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. That's a New York Times bestseller. Their Applied Artificial Intelligence, a handbook for business leaders. I really strongly recommend that you read that one, and that's one that I'm going to pick up here and try to read. Again, as you know, I'm trying to read like an hour every night at least, but I have a long list of books that I need to read, so I probably need to read like 5 or 6 hours every night. There's a book called The Business Case for AI, A Leader's Guide to AI Strategies, Best Practices, and Real-World Applications. That's by Kavita Ganesan, PhD. Now, I'm not saying that all PhDs are going to be better, but I think that PhDs that write books can do it from an academic standpoint, and I enjoy those. So that's probably one that I'm probably going to read. There's Prediction Machines, The Simple Economics of Artificial Intelligence. There is Data Strategy by Bernard Marr. I think I actually have the first edition of that book. Advances in Financial Machine Learning by Marcos Lopez de Prado. And again, I'm going to put the link to this article in the episode description. Using Artificial Intelligence in Marketing, and Human plus Machine. Okay. I would say start with reading those 10 books, and you'll start having not only a good idea of how to think about artificial intelligence, it'll open your mind up to what you can do with artificial intelligence. And if you're a business owner, I recommend reading the ones that have business owner in the title, or not business owner in the title, but for businesses. But I think that those are a really good place to start, because the more that we read about it, the more that we educate ourselves about it, the better that we'll feel about utilizing it. And I don't think that artificial intelligence isn't a buzzword. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you do not want to be left behind. And the best way to never be left behind is the number one thing that you can do as an entrepreneur, as a human: continuously cultivate learning for yourself, continuously cultivate and utilize new technologies as they come out. That is not only going to keep you younger, it's going to keep you ahead of the curve, and you will outpace everybody. Just everybody. If you continue, I guess I won't say outpace everybody. You will outpace the people that don't do those things. So make sure that you're doing those things. The other thing that we want to think about that's going to be really important for 2025, and I'm not going to go into a bunch of resources on what to do. I encourage you to go and research those. I just want to bring your attention to some of the other things that are going to be important for us to think about as we move into 2025 for businesses. So the number one thing is going to be artificial intelligence, or AI. Okay. And technology just in general. You should really have as top of mind for everything that you are doing. The next thing is going to be sustainability. Now, whether or not you think that the world is getting warmer, science shows that the world is getting warmer. That's going to have all kinds of effects on the planet, and sustainability is really important. So like, I don't think we need to go all super crazy, but just let's be sustainable about our fucking planet, because it's not going to be here forever. So consumers are increasingly prioritizing sustainability. Small businesses need to adopt those eco-friendly practices and make their commitment to sustainability. The thing that I will say, don't just do your own research. And what I mean by that is that there is data out there that supports that it doesn't make sense for us to go and buy reusable bags. What makes sense is for us to still have plastic bags in stores, and us to keep those plastic bags and reuse those plastic bags when we go back to the stores. That is a much more sustainable thing to do than to get rid of the plastic bags and then to start utilizing the other bags. There is information out there. I can't remember the study that points to it and who said it, but I remember reading it, and that's always stuck with me because that's what I'm talking about. Don't get caught up in fads. Sustainability is a thing that you need to focus on. See how you can implement it into your business, into your life that makes sense for you. But that's going to be a really big thing going into 2025. So again, you can go and find resources, webinars, seminars, books to read on sustainability, something that you should educate yourself on going into 2025. So educate yourself on technology and AI, educate yourself on sustainability. Educate yourself on how to make more remote work and flexibility. That's going to be a big thing in going into the future. You might have a business where that's not feasible, but if you have a business where you can do those types of things and I think flexible working is better than remote. Personally, that's what I would prefer. I would prefer to have an office that I could go to, be around people, and I do. It's just really far away. I would prefer that. I think that that's a better, because it bridges the gap between being around people, having questions answered, doing water cooler talk, having those interactions, but then also being able to stay from home and do the other things that you need throughout the day, so a couple days a week. I think a 3-2 split is good. 3 at home, 2 at the office. I think if you kick off the beginning of the week at Monday, Tuesday in the office, I think that that's great. Get your meetings out of the way and then move to a flexible to remote work. I think that would be fantastic. So I think that you should recommend or see how you can make that easier for you and your business. And one of those things that you should do is Microsoft Teams. Get a Microsoft Teams account. Again, I'm a big Microsoft fan. I also use Slack. I also use WhatsApp. I'm working on a WhatsApp business account for Q Financial. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do to make things remote. I think Slack and Teams are probably the two best ones. I use both of them. I prefer Teams over Slack, but I'm not against Slack. There are certain things in Slack that I like better that they don't do inside of Teams, but overall, I think Teams is way better. So learn about AI, learn about sustainability, learn how to improve remote work and remote communication. And then digital marketing, investing in digital marketing strategies, including social media. If you list, again, even on this show or episode, I called myself a social media whore. You have to be involved with social media no matter what. Do it from a way that's going to make you happy. Rethink things to make you like it, as difficult as that can be. But then digital marketing with SEO, content marketing, I talked a little bit about last week. All these things can help your business. So you should be on a regular basis throughout the rest of this year reading up on marketing and digital marketing strategies and how to grow your digital footprint for your business. The fifth thing, customer experience. If you have a business that requires customer experience or customer service, the way in which we interact with our customers is usually talked about as customer experience. So providing exceptional customer service and personalized experiences can differentiate small businesses from larger competitors. And one of the best ways to differentiate the experience that each individual has or each of your buying personas has is utilizing artificial intelligence. So I think those are going to go hand in hand. And I think that one of the things that I don't do enough on anyway for my businesses is constantly trying to improve the customer experience. And we recently started doing that in Age of Radio by offering different communication points for the podcast hosts, me trying to get our accounts payable to also be partially customer service people. And so that not only can we help the current podcast hosts make sure that their needs are being addressed, but then also being able to go out there and get more and more people excited about being a part of the Age of Radio podcast network, or what I might change to the Age of Radio community. Okay. And then supply chains, strengthening and diversifying supply chains, especially by including small and underserved businesses, can enhance reliance and open up new opportunities. I don't really deal with specifically like supply chains in the traditional sense, but if your business does, I would recommend that you educate yourself going into 2025, because supply chains are going to continue to be important, and they're also going to continue to be utilized with AI. So all of this goes back to AI. The seventh one is the one I'm super excited about, is government contracts, taking advantage of government initiatives aimed at increasing federal contracting dollars awarded to small disadvantaged businesses. I am working right now to figure out how to find out how the government gives money to small businesses apart from like loans, and then trying to utilize that not only for my current businesses, for projects that I'm working on coming up that I'm really excited to learn and dive deeper into that, especially if there's this concept that there's all of this money that exists out there that governments are giving to small businesses. Then we need to have better access and resources to find out how the fuck to get access to them, in my opinion, which I think is one of the biggest problems that we have, where there's lack of education on trying to get that capital and that money. And again, we have to change our mindset of the purpose of why we have business and why we need capital. We're having businesses so not only can we create a living for ourselves, but we can create and grow something that exists in our community, right? And so I think that when we think about it from that perspective, we can start thinking, okay, I need to get more capital so that I can do this other thing, so that it can drive this, which then I can get my profit margins to this, so that then I can be happy, and then I can take more of that and give back to the community. Again, that's not going to be the way. It's not going to be beautiful from every specific business, and I get that, but that's the world that I like to live in, and that's why I try to do the things that I do. Is I try to find more of these resources. I'm going to bring them back to the podcast to talk to you guys about, or to talk to you about, so that you can know what you should be doing for your business if you have one, and if you don't have one, for you just to maybe get an idea of how you could utilize it if you were going to start a business, or maybe you want to share it with someone that you know that has a business. Again, these are all of the things that I'm dealing with as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, that I'm trying to do. And we're trying to continue to make this podcast better. So again, one of the ways that we're going to be doing that is for me to talk more about the things that I'm specifically doing. And my number one goal is to utilize AI in our businesses and organize a lot of these tasks to make them more efficient. And as I do some of those things, I will reach out to you, or I will come back to you here and talk to you about them. Also, make sure, again, that you go to Instagram, sign up for those dope updates broadcasts, and let me know what questions you have. I would be more than happy to answer questions about anything here on this podcast. And I think that will make it even better for the listeners to enjoy. So with that being said, as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey, I'm already crying for you.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. If you like this podcast, if you could do two things for me. One, give it a 5-star rating if your podcatcher allows you to, and also share it with at least one other person after listening to it. I would greatly appreciate it to help get it in front of more people. The opening song was Positive Change by Gaslight Anthem. Our closing song was Gardens by Trevor Hall. I'm recording currently into a Neumann KSM 104. I am recording into my Zoom L8 utilizing Steinberg's Cubase, and I will be using Waves plugins in post. That being said, one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye.